Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for being here. Today is December 28th of 2022. I am Faris Farassati, council member, City of Overland Park. And let me start by apologizing to all of you for not being able to release this video yesterday and releasing it with 1 day delay. So, well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year in advance. I wish you guys all a fantastic time, full of joy, health, love, prosperity. And I wish that 2023 would bring you many blessings to each one of you. So I'm not going to make it hopefully very long. I'm planning to make it shorter than usual in the interest of this holiday season and all of us needing to spend time with the family. But there are a few things I need to bring to your attention which are important from the perspective of decisions that have been made by the City of Overland Park government. Well, during the last month and a half, we had two tax giveaways, multi-million-dollar tax giveaways. And again, they always face with my no vote. I have no reason to believe that your precious tax dollars could be given to multi-million-dollar developers out of the pockets of your school district, your library, or any place that could spend these tax giveaways, including the City of Overland Park. We have a city which is 60 years old. It has many issues that need to be addressed, and they need money. And we need to collect these taxes and put them in the right place. The market in Overland Park is lucrative enough. These projects would be successful without tax benefits, and handing them over any sort of tax dollars just doesn't make sense. They are not in blighted areas. They are not in depressed areas. And these tools, such as tax incentives or something that commonly is referred to as TIFs, although they don't all of them categorize as TIF technically, they are inventions for bringing up the blighted, depressed areas back, not for a place like Overland Park. So they all faced my no vote, and they will continue facing my no vote until I see something that deserves it. So that's number one. That's the usual. It has been going. We have had hundreds of millions of dollars given away to multi-million-dollar developers in the last 5-6 years. I have all the data. It's public. That's nothing new, but still unfortunate. So the other topic I wanted to discuss is the matter of chip sale. And I'm sure whoever is paying attention to this video knows about chip sale and this mistreatment of our residential streets, which is anti-health, anti-safety, and anti-environment. And it apparently we are moving towards a next couple of years in a way that there is no firm commitment to stop using chip sale. We had an infrastructure advisory group, and the number one issue for our infrastructure in the City of Overland Park undoubtedly is chip sale. And the fact that people do not want their residential streets chip sealed. They don't want the health of their kids, their pets, their property threatened by a rural grade treatment in front of their house. And infrastructure advisory group came, in my opinion, with very weak recommendations, something in the language of reducing dependency on chip sale. And it was no surprise to me, because this advisory group was being directed by council members who have been not listening to this will and request of the people. It was somewhat suppressed if any of those advisory group members wanted to put something stronger against the chip sale. And I noticed it once. I attended one of the sessions, and I received a number of criticisms from members of that advisory group that, they were not simply paying attention to it. Remember, last year we had 6,000 people presented by 24 HOAs who said, don't chip seal my streets. So that level of dissatisfaction. And the infrastructure advisory group goes for like 8-10 months. I tip my hat to all the members that put time and efforts in it. I'm not criticizing them, But I criticize the status quo, which puts these advisory groups together and doesn't listen to it or doesn't let it function appropriately. And I am worried about the next one being comprehensive planning advisory group. What is going to come out of that if the status quo, if a bunch of politicians are trying to get out of it what they want to hear, are handpicking certain people there, and even within that, they are not putting up something that those members genuinely want to express. I was present at one of the meetings of the infrastructure advisory group. The staff seemed to counter argue against the advisory group members about the importance of stopping chip seal. And the recommendations was simply ignoring their interest to do that. We had a presentation by our new city manager, Lori Luther, and she was putting together her priorities and strategic planning for her functionality. And I said, I'm on camera at City Council saying that the chip seal, reduce reliance on chip seal is not something that is strong enough. We need to have a deadline and stop it. We can't pay for it. The technology doesn't exist for it. It's very complicated. These are all myths. These are all non-evidence-based claims. Chip seal can be stopped. Technology for it exists. We have the money for it. All of this. I promise to you all that this is achievable if the status quo wants to cooperate with a number of people who want to stop chip seal, being me, Councilmember Hamblin, Councilmember Mosher, and Councilmember Cox. If we stop playing politics and we want to fix this issue, I don't know how anybody can be pro-environment and vote for 200 miles of chip seal. These aggregates clog our drains. Many scientific papers tell you that such aggregates are bad for environment and safety and health, just obvious. People of Overland Park have tried to get rid of this for the last 10 years. All right, the next one, farmers market, which is of interest to some people. Well, we had, again, another advisory group put together. The representation of the people that live in that area was always missing. When they first put the advisory group together, I told them there has to be a representation of the population there, and they didn't want to do it. So there were other elements there, but not a really group of people who live in that area, at least the vicinity, and in some way, average person on the street being able to voice their opinion. So now the outcome of it in preliminary phases is that a bunch of apartments are going to be built next to the new farmers market. The budget for it is about $20 million, 20-something million dollars. The issue here is that one of the scenarios on the table is selling public land that belongs to the city of Overland Park to a private developer. And our farmers market is significantly successful. Yes, people want more space. I understand. I support that. They want to be able to maybe run it 12 months a year. That I understand and support. But this gigantic apartment complex next to it, I am trying to figure out which one is the main course and which one is the side dish. Is this all, this advisory group being put together, just a way to legitimize an apartment complex there and also improve the farmers market? Or we are doing the farmers market, making it 12 months operational, expanding it a little bit, and there is an apartment complex coming to it. And, if something is very functional and very nice, why can't we just update it and save ourselves a bunch of money by not entering to this agreement over this apartment complex and potentially losing public land in downtown of a growing city? I mean, it's, I'm still reserving my judgment. The other thing I brought up in the meeting was that, to my amazement, the entity that runs this advisory group as a moderator is a developer. Like, I'm a scientist, and when we review grants, when we review proposals, we always try to be conflict of interest free. So now how can I have a developer who is interested and has thrown his hat in to be the developer of the eventual farmers market, be the moderator of the advisory group who's gonna advise us what to do with that project. I don't understand. I don't understand why our staff couldn't do it. I reserved my judgment until the last city council meeting, but I put it on the table there, and I never got an answer back. Why couldn't our staff moderate this conversation? Why couldn't we hire somebody who's not a developer to do it? I'm not saying anybody is essentially doing anything wrong, but we have to do things in a way that is free of conflict of interest. Let's move on. So if you are interested in farmers market, pay attention to what comes out. There is another phase of conversation, and this time it's going to be much more rigid in terms of what's going to happen to farmers market. The next one is traffic lights. We had another traffic lights yanked out because we don't want to pay for a new traffic. 2 years ago, in the middle of Corona battle, we had significant dissatisfaction of the people when we yanked out traffic lights. And we had a number of accidents at that area, which they did a jump by like 2 times. Here is another traffic light coming out. Why? According to our staff, because we don't want to fix it. We don't want to put a new traffic light. If we cannot afford traffic lights, how can we hand over multi-million-dollar tax breaks to developers? Our number one function is quality of life. Traffic lights are safety devices. Yes, I understand some conversation that some areas may not need it. But the agenda cannot be saving money over a safety device for a city like Overland Park with all the claims of quality of life and safety. Okay. Now we are getting to the last and probably most important topic of the night, which is apartments. You know me, and I am against invasion of apartments in Overland Park. In my opinion, it's an invasive attitude that according to Johnson County study, we have built enough apartments in the city of Overland Park until 2030. So if we don't build one more apartment, we have satisfied all the way to 2030. And we continue going over our regulations and allowing these apartments, giving them deviations to be more dense, bigger, everything. And I don't know what's the necessity. Scientifically speaking, we don't need it anymore. And a lot of people don't want it. And I don't blame them. And as I said on the city council, the American promise does not include living and dying in an apartment. I have nothing against apartments. During majority of my school, I lived in an apartment very happily. They should be there. There is a kind of accommodation that we need, but it can't take over. We don't want to be an apartment city. And we have built enough. So we had another project 135th and Antioch was denied about 2.5 months ago by the council because it was too big. It was against our ordinance. The deviation they were asking to get more dense and bigger was against our ordinance. And essentially the same project with a little bit modification. After we send them back to speak with the community, comes back and this time gets approved. How could it be? How could we reject something and approve it 2.5 months later? This is the art of what? Which lobbying group convinced us? So that's an issue. Now, okay. The number one problem with many apartments is that they ask for deviation, because if they don't need a deviation, if they build it within the structure of the zoning that is there, nobody should and nobody can stop them. But they usually want more density or bigger building, which is the point of objection by the people usually. One more time, if they keep it within the regulations that zoning projects there is no problem with it. There's no problem. Nobody can stop them. I have projects like that myself, and we just simply took majority of claims back and building it to the characteristics of the existing zoning. Okay, but what's happening is that every apartment building here in Overland Park wants to go above what is supposed to be there, and that's an issue. Okay, so how do we decide if a deviation is just or not? Let me show you this. Overland Park Municipal Code. Here is how you decide it. Based on these 5 questions. Is that property unique? Does granting this deviation, does letting them make it bigger and more density, does that adversely affect the right of adjacent landowners? And 3 other questions. Unnecessary, is there an unnecessary hardship on the landowner? Safety, health, public health, and general welfare of the people. And that the granting of the deviation will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of this ordinance. Okay, so we have this ordinance. On the basis of this ordinance, and also in terms of rezoning, there is golden criteria. We rejected 2 projects. And now we are giving a notice that apparently some people in the city of Overland Park government are so agitated by some of these projects getting rejected, which if you saw my interview with Act 41 Action News, they were saying, well, it's amazing that Overland Park has rejected some of the apartment projects. What has changed? And I said, what has changed is that people participate now. They show up, they express dissatisfaction. It was so distasteful to the status quo that now they want to change this municipal code. There is an agenda in front of the Planning Commission now to change this municipal code because the existing municipal code, people could use it to express their voice, and you know, it's too stringent or whatever excuse they are putting up, and there is a movement now to change this municipal code, so the red carpet would be rolled in front of every apartment building in with any size and density. Not exactly any size and density, but there is an agenda right now to change this. Whom are we trying to protect here? Why are we doing this? What is wrong with this municipal code? Did people ask us to change it? Or is it the special interest groups? That I find strange. I reserve my judgment. I will listen to the changes. I have studied it somewhat. I will study deeper. But if there is a speaking time allowed in front of Planning Commission, I will be there. And if I find something to criticize, I will. And let me remind you, Planning Commission is appointed by the mayor. They are not elected officials. They are not voted by you. Yet over and over what I hear is that people keep telling me, we went in front of Planning Commission because it goes over rezoning and a number of very important things. And we were not listened to. And they had a refractory attitude. So is there a problem there? Is there a problem with the selection of Planning Commission by one man, that being the mayor? Is there a problem with the fact that Planning Commission could be from anywhere, essentially? There is no representation of each ward on it, necessarily. Do we have a problem there? Is there a problem with the background of the members, with lack of inclusivity? We need to look into this, and I will look into this. And we find conflicted areas of interest, we're gonna try to change it. That is why I accepted this position with your votes. I did not accept this position to say everything is fine. You go to your doctor, his function, her function is not to tell you everything is great. If you have problems. Overland Park is a beautiful city, good quality of life. Issues are coming. It has issues. It has chip seal on the streets. It has a police force that is not paid, and positions are empty, and we can't fill them. It has the positions of bleeding taxpayer money to special interest groups, and then not having enough money to fix a traffic light. We will try, and we have been trying. Thank you very much for your interest. I appreciate it. Have a great holiday time. Happy New Year. And I hope to have the chance to talk to you guys very soon. I try to do the Overland Park Disclosed next one probably middle of January, because there are big agendas that we need to have our eyes open on them, including the conflict of interest in the structure of government of Overland Park. We need to pay attention to it. We don't want a conflicted government. Trust me, I have lived under conflicted governments. It doesn't work. And, you know, there are problems in many places in our country at different levels of politics. Maybe we can't fix those, but we can fix this one, municipal structure of the government together. I thank you. Please pay attention to the election next year. You have 6 members up for re-election. Look at the agendas, see what they have done for you, see how they help the quality of life for you and your children. Thank you very much. One more time, Happy New Year.